Hi, everyone. Welcome to Our Disabled Future, a series where disabled voices lead the way. I'm your host, Nico, and it is a good day for disability inclusion. Each day, during Disability Pride Month and beyond, I'm amplifying real disabled stories. Where we are, where we want to go, and how the heck we're going to get there. Together, I hope. Today, I'm thrilled to be joined by Carly. Let's dive in. Hi, Carly. Thank you for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. So tell us about yourself and about your disabled life.
Yeah, so I'm a 26-year-old Canadian, and a lot of my life revolves around the fact that I am physically disabled, and have been since I was about 17. I also manage different chronic illnesses associated with medications and other things that I have been managing as a result of my chronic pain. But essentially, I stood up one day out of bed and noticed something was wrong with my hip. And ever since, I've kind of been in limbo, having surgeries and other things, but really no um, diagnosis, which I think is a huge part of my journey, having to work through the fact that I may be disabled for the rest of my life, but not really knowing why or having a name put behind it and trying to accept that. But in my journey in the last few years, I've really gotten into the idea of patient advocacy and my personal interest in pursuing a career in healthcare as a disabled person, hoping to pursue occupational therapy or something similar, as someone who's completed a Bachelor of Science and started to investigate different careers that not only would suit me and feel like I could support other patients, but also something that I feel like I could properly be supported and accommodated myself as a disabled person as well.
That's fantastic. Thank you. You've given me a lot of great background about your disabled journey up until this point. So what does a disability friendly future look for you then?
Yeah, so I think there's different things I'd love to see, and one of the main things I focus on is the education standpoint of things. Right now, there's some amazing efforts being done towards healthcare education for allied health professionals and doctors, um, including patient voices. And so, for example, University of British Columbia is doing a mentorship program where patients get paired with different students in healthcare profession programs, and you have the ability to mentor them not just for one session but over time across a year, and you really get to establish relationships. And I feel like they get to learn a lot about the patient experience and come to have that extra empathy when it comes to addressing patients when they hit their profession. So that's fantastic. But one thing I'd love to see a little bit more of is making sure that there is proper verbiage and education in patient facing material that's actually for patients that may not have the healthcare experience themselves. I know that I personally love to look up publications and things like that when I'm doing research for my own health condition, but that's definitely not the same for other people. And when you're Googling things, for example, things may not be super reliable and you don't know what to trust. And it also just can heighten anxiety in a lot of ways. I know when my dad was dealing with some health issues, he was like freaking out about some things. And I think everyone's had that experience where they try and look up symptoms and don't, and they're told it's cancer for some reason. But I'd love to see some more effort put towards making sure information and education is accessible to people with different disabilities and different health literacy, just because we can't assume that everyone knows everything. And lab reports, for example, those are super hard to read, and they can be really difficult to understand if you're not a health professional and understand what certain levels mean. But all you might see is those flashing red numbers saying that they're too high or too low. But I think those things can be really confusing and really anxiety inducing. So I'd love to see some more effort put towards making sure that information is accessible but also comprehensible. Is that, if that's a word?
Yeah, I totally think it's a word. Thank you so much. How do you think we can make that future a reality? What's our strategy?
A good question. I think personally, I've tried to start thinking about these things, and I've had the wonderful opportunity to work with a woman named Holly Johnston, and she is also in Vancouver, and we are work together at a nonprofit organization called Periods for All. And this is a very like segmented version of this, but what we're doing is providing menstrual health education that is tailored and accessible to people with different disabilities. So one of the fantastic projects we're working on right now is partnering with some deaf and hard of hearing people in our community under a grant to create some menstrual health education videos and videos about periods and the menstrual cycle in ASL, so American Sign Language, which I didn't really know before just because I don't have experience or have any friends that are deaf or hard of hearing. But there's really not very much education in that sphere that's accessible in ASL. They have to read in English, and that's often not their traditional language. So having something in ASL specifically, we found to be super important because then they're understanding it in their own language, and it's not just people working with a translation. So and a huge part of that has been involving people in the deaf and hard of hearing community to guide us, because even though I'm disabled, I don't have a hearing disability. So learning in that respect. So that's some really fantastic work is what we're doing at Periods for All, and trying to make the menstrual health education at least accessible and tailored to people with different needs. Um, but I'd love to see other organizations doing some of these things as well in different health spheres. I think that having bigger health organizations support more grassroots nonprofits that are doing these efforts, including disabled people in the actual um, education, and making sure that they are including patient partners that have different levels of literacy. I think a lot of patient partners are very passionate about what they're doing and do know a lot in terms of health literacy, but the general public might not be that way. So just keeping that in mind when they're creating materials and making sure, it fits to a fifth grade um, approximately language level. And just because people may not speak English or may have developmental disabilities, it's really important. We don't want to be excluding them from education and their own health information. So I'd love to see, some big health organizations working towards making health information, if you're accessing your health data, to have that not just be the health information that the doctors see, but maybe using AI or something like that to tailor the information to be at a level that people can understand. And in Canada, at least, I don't know exactly about the situation in the US, but we have a crisis where we don't have enough family doctors. So if you're going to a clinic or something and you don't have an ongoing family doctor to be able to talk to about issues, it would be really nice if you didn't have anxiety inducing information that you're checking yourself and don't know have someone to talk to. So I think those are just some of the ways I could see things improving, and I definitely do think there are some amazing organizations working at trying to support this issue.
Thank you so much, Carly. I learned a whole lot. As we close our time together today, I want to give you a chance that you and I, as disabled people, rarely get, and that is a chance to brag about yourself. You could promote something cool that you've done recently, or maybe something awesome that you still got under wraps until a certain point in the future. If you want to grow your presence online, where can people find you? This is just a blank space for you to be your own cheerleader. Step up onto your soapbox. Let's hear it.
I love that. So I think I've mentioned periods for all, which is periods space for space all, but I know on different social media that's gonna be just periods for all in terms of we have our website periodsforall.org, and on various social media we're just periods for all, and so you can kind of keep an eye on some of the amazing things Holly and I are doing, including we just released like a hype reel talking about the behind the scenes for this ASL project, which will be hopefully released in about a month, which I'm really excited to share. So that's really exciting. We're hoping to kind of expand into different areas with future grants. So not exactly sure where we're leading there, but that's the one aspect. In terms of me, myself, and I am on like LinkedIn and things like that under my full name. But yeah, my life kind of is a lot in different sectors. And so you see the academic me, which there's publications coming out in different healthcare aspects in my work. But then hopefully you'll see my name more in patient partner things as I start to get involved in other projects. I think this has been a great opportunity for me to just share a little bit about what I'm doing, and I'm so grateful for that. And yeah, I think this is like kind of the start of turning towards having a disabled journey, if that makes sense, where it's something that I'm trying to reach beyond what I am normally comfortable with in terms of my family and friends. And so uh, it's a very cool thing to start, posting on LinkedIn or other things and being a disability advocate, and trying to find a place in that space, which I'm very grateful to you, Nico, for having this project and yeah, having an opportunity to decide that to pass through my anxiety and to do this anyways. So yeah, if you're interested, people can always reach out, or hopefully follow Periods for All if you're interested in menstrual health education and how we're trying to make it accessible for everyone despite their disabilities.
Wonderful. Thank you. Carly, I really appreciated our time together. Thanks for chatting with me.
Yeah, thank you for having me again. I really am grateful for what you're doing.
Of course. Folks, tune in next time. Remember, this is our disabled future, and we're building it one day at a time together. Wherever you go, whatever you do, I'm rooting for you, and I can't wait to see what you do next. Bye.